Good afternoon. That's Stacey Fedarcyk's office.
Hi, yes. I called last week, and I was told that Agent Fedarcyk would be in this week, and I might be able to speak with her.
May I ask who's calling?
Pardon me?
May I ask who's calling?
Yes, my name is William Galison.
And you're calling from where?
I'm calling from New York City.
From the New York City office, or?
No, it concerns a murder here that appears to be being covered up by the police.
Hold on one second. Let me see if she's available.
Thank you. Thank you.
FBI Philadelphia.
Yes, I was put on hold. They were trying to connect me with Special Agent Fedarcyk, and for some reason I got sent to you.
What is this pertaining to, sir?
Well, I described it to the woman in Agent Fedarcyk's office, and she said she was going to connect me with Agent Fedarcyk, and then I was connected to you for some reason.
Well, can you explain to me again? I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but that's
okay.
Typically all calls come through the duty desk, which is where I'm sitting right now.
Right, but you had already referred me to Fedarcyk's office.
No, sir, I had not, because I had not spoken to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was another gentleman. Well, this. Okay, but I'm just a little confused because apparently a mistake was made.
Sure, and I apologize for that.
Okay, but this has to do with a murder in New York City, where the victim had appealed to the FBI in New York for protection, and wrote several letters to the Manhattan office explaining that he had been threatened by a very powerful judge in New York, and even made a video saying that if anything happened to him, it was at the hands of this judge. He was found dead last week, a month after he made the film. He was uncovering information about a corrupt judge, and he was threatened by two police detectives from the District Attorney's Bureau in Queens. And I was also threatened by District Attorney Bureau cops in Manhattan. So,
and is that why you're calling the Philadelphia FBI?
I'm calling the Philadelphia FBI because Special Agent Fedarcyk is going to be here.
Okay, sure.
And because we have appealed to the FBI here, and we've been treated with disrespect and incompetence at a ridiculous level.
Okay.
And I thought she might be interested to know that. We are afraid because one of our colleagues was threatened and killed, and some of us have been threatened as well in a similar way.
And are you at liberty to give me the name of the individual who was killed?
Yes, his name is Sunny Sheu.
Sunny...
S-H-E-U.
S-H-E-U?
Yeah, this just happened a week and a half ago. Now, the police...
And I'm sorry to ask you some follow-up questions.
Yes.
How was he killed, and what were the circumstances?
He was... I was called... Actually, a colleague of mine was called on Saturday, the 26th, at 4:25 p.m., and told by a police officer, Ramos, from the 109th precinct, that the owner of the phone that he was calling us from had been admitted to the hospital with head trauma, and that he was in a coma, and would we come out and see him. And we did, and 5 minutes before we got there, according to the doctor, he was dead. The doctor said that he had brain hemorrhage, severe brain hemorrhage, but did not detect a damage to the head, a head trauma at that time. And he said he was going to sign the death certificate. We identified the body, but we've not asked for our own definite identification, which was very irregular. We called the police and told them that this gentleman had been threatened and it had in fact sent letters to the FBI and made a video explaining who was he thought was wanting to kill him.
Who did he feel wanted to kill him?
A state Supreme Court judge named Joseph Golia. Now,
How do you spell
Golia is Golia.
Golia.
Yeah. Now, I'd be happy to answer your questions, so I at least get your questions answered. So if you want to ask me more.
No, go ahead. I forgive the interruptions when I do ask you questions.
That's quite all right. That's quite all right. I try not to get off on a tangent here, but Sunny had been the victim of mortgage fraud. Somebody took out a fraudulent mortgage on his house and forged his brother's name in the deed. In other words, Sunny was home one day and somebody knocked on the door and said they were showing his house to the buyer.
Sure.
But Sunny had never sold the house and had no intention of selling the house. So he looked into it and found that these people had forged his brother's name and gotten a deed and then acquired a mortgage on the house. He reported the fraudulent deed to the 109th, Captain G.E., and those people were arrested, pled guilty, they were convicted to 3 months in jail and sentenced to 3 months in jail. We don't know if they served the time or not. Then everything should have been fine for Sunny, but the Judge Golia, maintained the fraudulent mortgage as the operating mortgage, which was insanity, but that's what he did. And Sunny spent 4 years trying to get a hearing to prove to the judge that the mortgage was based on a fraudulent deed, which had in fact been prosecuted. The judge would not talk to him or see him, and the judge has a history. We've uncovered at least one and possibly two other examples of this judge being involved with mortgage fraud. He happens to be, his wife happens to have a real estate empire in that area.
Okay.
Sunny then, when he could get no satisfaction from, when he could not reach the judge through all the means that, the usual means, he placed a letter in the mailbox of the judge, a very respectful letter which I read, and Sunny was an extremely humble and peaceful person. I'm getting another call, but I'll let it go for now.
Placed a letter in the judge's personal
the mailbox, the residential mailbox.
Okay.
And but the letter was again extremely innocuous, and it just said, "Your Honor, I've been trying to reach you by mail at your office, and I have not received a response for the last 8 months, or for the last, I think it was 3 or 4 years. So I'm putting this in your mailbox. I hope that's okay." Well, a little while later, he was summoned to the courthouse for some paperwork or other, and on his way out, he was approached by 2 detectives from the DA squad, who did not identify themselves, did not give him their badge numbers, but showed their badge and their gun, and told him to get into a car. These 2 guys said to him that we want to talk to you about the mortgage case, the mortgage fraud case. So they put him in a car. They took him to the DA's office through a back door, he says, into a small room. They locked the door, and for 2 hours they interrogated and intimidated him, and told him that if he went to the press or continued to fight the foreclosure, their words, according to him, were, "You live in a very bad neighborhood, and and there are gangs, and anything could happen to you there." And he took that, I think, reasonably as a death threat. He wrote that, and I helped him write because his English was not great. He wrote that to Special Agent Rojas at the New York FBI, and he and I actually went and were interviewed by Rojas at the FBI and at Federal Plaza. Then he wrote a letter because he noticed that there were people watching him, and a van parked outside of his home, and he wrote a letter to Rojas, which I helped him write. explaining, again saying that he was requesting witness protection of some kind, or some kind of intervention because he was afraid for his life. That was at the end of April.
And you spoke to who in the FBI?
Rachel Rojas, Rojas. She's a special supervising agent.
Rachel?
Yeah, that's Rachel. And Rojas is the last name, Rojas.
Rojas, okay.
And, okay, so Sunny then, since he was a feisty little guy, and he decided he was not going to be intimidated. He would not lose his home to this scam. He couldn't get any... in fact, believe it or not, I'm sorry, may I get your name? Is that possible?
We're not permitted to give out names.
Okay, well, okay. Okay. He actually went to a different judge and had a stay put on the fraudulent mortgage. And Judge Golia actually reversed the stay so that once again the fraudulent mortgage was in play. So his house was on the verge of being foreclosed. And he decided he realized he was dealing with a corrupt judge here. He and I went down to 25 Beaver Street, which is the Ethics Commission of the Office of Court Administration. And Sunny wanted to find the financial disclosure forms for this judge, because he had a sense that this judge was ripping off a lot of people and that he probably had real estate that he didn't report. Sunny was very clever and very able on a computer, but we went there and we got Golia's report. Sunny felt that he had found many discrepancies between what was on the financial disclosure form and what he could find through registries, etc. Now I was not so involved with the analysis. I had my own, issues to deal with. But I just wanted to help him, basically helping him express himself in English, and just to be a white guy on the scene, since I think a little Chinese guy I saw him be really treated disrespectfully by many different people, government people. So I went with him probably 8 times down to that. And finally, he filed a complaint against Golia, saying that he had found discrepancies. He filed a complaint with the commission, the Ethics Commission, and they thought it was valid enough, the complaint, that they asked the judge for an amended disclosure form. At least it's my impression that if they don't feel there's any merit to a complaint, they don't ask, but they asked. And the judge sent back basically something saying, well, the only thing that I didn't report is this vacant lot, which I believe is worth less than $1,000, which is laughable in New York City to have a vacant lot that's worth. But that be that as it may, that's not the point. In any case, the point is that Sunny was actively trying to basically bust this judge through the legitimate legal means by checking out his financial disclosure reports, and he was convinced that the judge had cheated. So it was Wednesday the 22nd, or maybe the 23rd, that Sunny and I went down there. And Sunny, who was sort of irrepressible, when he got the form, he said, now I have him. Now I have the information I need to send Golia to jail. And I told him, hush, you don't want to be saying that in the middle of the OCA. You don't know who's friendly with Judge Golia. But that was Wednesday the 23rd, or the 22nd, I guess. The 26th, Saturday, Sunny was found dead on the street. Again, the police called up and said he had head trauma. The doctor said he had no head trauma. We went to the morgue, and the medical examiner said he certainly did have head trauma. And I saw the chart, and the autopsy chart, had a big blue oval on the left side of his head, on the left side of the head of the little, diagram of a body, and there was a line from it that said 4.5 inches, which I'm not a doctor and I don't know autopsy reports, but I did a little research. That apparently is the size of the contusion or whatever but she said to me, he certainly did have head trauma. I said, are you telling me he had head trauma? And she said, yes, he had head trauma. I don't suspect the doctor is wrong. I suspect the doctor missed it somehow.
Okay.
But then I called the police. I said, "What's going on?" The 109th. I said, "What's going on with Sunny Sheu case?" And they say, "Oh, well, we're just treating that as a natural death." And I happened to get a detective who didn't know much about the case. He looked it up and he said, I said, "Is there any indication that he had head trauma?" He said, "Oh, no, there was no head trauma. He died of a brain hemorrhage." So the police of the 109th, and I don't know whether, I guess the DA Bureau, I don't know if that's part of the 109th or whether that's an independent entity. But the police either are unaware that the medical examiner found head trauma or they're lying. And considering the policeman, when he called us, said there was head trauma, which is a strange thing to make up, I'm thinking they're covering this up. Now, my case is not as serious, but I think I should add that what happened to Sunny with the two DA Bureau cops, a similar thing happened when I was basically attacked by two cops at the DA's office. I went to because it was deprivation of rights under color of law. I went to the FBI in New York with Sunny, in fact, and I told my story, which I have entirely taped, of two guys coming out of the office and throwing me out of the DA building for no other reason that I was trying to find out the status of a complaint against a judge. And the response I got from Agent Brian Nadeau was that what these guys did was legal, and that, and basically they have the right to throw me out, to ban me from the district attorney's office, which is absolutely not true. So in a sense, I'm reporting to you this tragedy that occurred to Sunny. And I'm afraid they're going to dispose of the body, and I'm afraid that I have proof that the medical examiner said there was head trauma. And I'm afraid the body's going to be disposed of, and this guy Goli is going to get away with it. I have seen nothing from the New York City, Manhattan Bureau that would give me any encouragement that they're going to pursue this thing.
What is your name, sir?
My name is William Galison, Galison.
Your callback number?
The cell phone is 917, and the home phone is 2. And I really appreciate your listening so carefully. I want to say one more thing, is that myself and a couple of other people actually initiated Senate judiciary hearings in New York, to which about 500 people came. And Sunny was scheduled to testify at the next hearing, but the hearing has been postponed for 9 months. But he was going to testify and show the evidence of what Goli had done in front of the Senate hearing. But he didn't have a chance.
Sure. When was he killed? When was he?
Certainly it was June 26th, and he died. We got there at 8:15. We were told he had died 5 minutes earlier. They had just covered him up, so you can assume he died at 10 or so, or just after 8 o'clock. And he was the first phone call made from his phone at that time by the cop was about 4:10. So presumably, my understanding is that the police officer was in the hospital when he arrived there, and he was brought in by EMS. Now, we've tried to find out the circumstances of who found him. We were told, the doctor told me on tape, that a woman saw him fall, because he was told that by the police or whatever. And I guess, I don't know how that got to him, but that's what he told me. A woman saw him fall, but there's no police report, so we can't check up on, was there a woman? Did he fall? The mystery here, as I'm sure you appreciate, is that some people are saying he had a head blow and some people are not.
What I can do is this, sir, is I have your information. This is something that is originating out of New York. Long story short, we do not put calls through from outside people to the special agents in charge. It has to be filtered through our system.
Well, you know, it's funny. A week before this happened to Sunny, I had called Agent Fedarcyk because I want to have a meeting with some of our people, because she's going to come into New York and she should know what she's facing here. She should know that she has a district attorney's office that is corrupt, murderously corrupt, and that she's dealing with judges that are murderously corrupt. And I think that would be very much to her advantage to hear and to get our, regardless of what protocol might be, to get our testimony about that, because we are getting nowhere in New York, and we are delighted that somebody from outside is coming. We are hoping that she's not influenced by the same forces that are influencing apparently influencing the FBI here. And she may have a really big cleanup job, and she's not going to get the news from the FBI. You can be sure of that. You can be sure that she's not going to be told that Sunny wrote the FBI several letters specifically asking for protection and that they blew him off. They're not going to say that because they don't want to get in trouble, at the very least. So I think it would behoove her to meet with me and a couple of my colleagues, and we're happy to go down to Philadelphia.
And is there your colleagues?
We're a loose group. We're a loose organization. We have a website called exposedcorruptcourts.blogspot.org. We have not made a press release about Sunny yet. On that, we're figuring out how to word it. The videotape that Sunny made before of saying that is, and the letter to the FBI, I believe, are both online. On YouTube.
I'm sorry, on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay. What I will do is this. Obviously, I am not in a position to schedule meetings for the agents in charge of a particular office. I will forward your information to the appropriate people here, and then it will in turn get to the SAC at that point in time, your contact information, your requests. At that point in time, whatever course of action takes place. I mean,
okay, listen, you know what? I'm an American citizen. I'm 52 years old. I was brought up to feel that at least there would be some interest in the security of my life and the life of my colleagues by federal agents, by the FBI, and that we would not be left to be killed by people, with months of prior warning. Obviously, I have a very personal stake in this. I wrote a complaint about agents Rojas and Nadeau, and I sent it to the FBI in Washington, and I got a curt response which showed that the woman Angela Byers, she did not read my complaint and she did not understand. It was disrespectful. It was curt, and I do have friends. I have several colleagues who work with Senator Leahy on the judicial. That's where I'm going to be going next, and Conyers also. I have connections. It just seems to me that if Agent Fedarcyk is not interested in this, I know she's got many other things to deal with, but this is the fundamental pillar of our democracy, which is the justice system, and it is completely out of control. It's the Wild West. She has to know this.
And I'm not arguing with you at one iota
okay.
as far as that. What
okay.
I'm saying is I will pass the information to her staff, and then it goes from there. I mean, I'm not arguing that those are just decisions which are out of my hand, and I understand,
totally understand. Okay.
you taking whatever legal course of action that you deem fit. I mean, that's certainly within your rights, obviously.
What I meant to say, the import of what I'm saying is that we are praying, literally praying, that Agent Fedarcyk is honest and conscientious and will clean up New York, because it is a cesspool here. Okay?
Well, I can tell you that I've been under her staff now for a number of years, and I would think you're going to get what you are hoping for.
That's very good to hear.
That's the best I can tell you.
Well, I wish I knew your name so I could thank you, but I understand you can't do that, so I will just say thank you very much. And listen, any agent who wants to call me with any questions at all, I'm happy to talk to them.
All right, sir. Good luck.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.